All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining today. We greatly appreciate your time, and it's a special first today. Vantage just recently announced our public general availability and Series A funding, and so this is our first webinar to share our innovative work that we're doing here at Vantage, and so we're very glad to have you here on our maiden webinar voyage today. So let's take just a couple of minutes to overview our planned agenda. So first up is we're going to introduce some of the speakers on this call and jump into, what we hear from customers is the key challenges that they face. Probably something familiar for a lot of the listeners on this call. Feels, these familiar challenges to building these amazing discovery experiences. Next, we'll go ahead and cover Vantage and our discovery as a service solution that addresses those challenges just head on. We'll look at those capabilities, but we'll also show those challenges addressed kind of in a live demo. So we have some real live action for you today. And so the other one is we're highly opinionated in the belief that the folks joining this call and building these solutions shouldn't have to make compromises in terms of speed or accuracy, flexibility when building these solutions. So we're going to cover some of the pitfalls to avoid using Gen AI as part of your sort of discovery experiences. Lastly, we're going to make sure and leave some time to have some Q&A. And so we're going to we have a webinar Q&A open. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those in the webinar Q&A. And then we'll try and get to those at the end and answer those questions live. And so with that, let's jump right into it. Okay, so first, let's go ahead and do some introduction. On the call today, we have several folks from Vantage. We're excited to share a bunch of information about what we're working on with you. But let's start with Lance. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and the company? Lance, you're on mute, bud.
All right, way to start our first webinar. So, hey, I'm Lance Rydell. I'm CEO of Vantage Discovery. I'm super excited to have you all join us in our very first webinar. This is, an exciting time for us, as Nick said, coming out of GA. What we want to share with you is, as Nick said, we want to share what is the Vantage Discovery platform all about, why we think there's not a better tool out there to build your search and discovery experiences on. This no compromises approach to what we've built. A little bit about us and myself. So, we have pretty much about 30 years working on search and discovery. This is from the largest e-commerce sites out there, top tier research teams, startups, and most recently before Vantage Discovery, at Pinterest. So Pinterest, if y'all are familiar with it, is one of the best examples of scaled personalized search and discovery out there. And that was built on top of what we see today as large language models, embeddings, etc. And us being the first before there were vector DBs out there, how do we scale this approach to hundreds of millions of users, billions of pins, these types of things, right? So what we're going to show you today is really all that experience combined into something that we believe can help you build out anything you want from e-commerce and others. So we're really excited to show you this. So I'll pass it on to Nigel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nigel. I'm the COO at Vantage. And my background's in working at big, medium, and small companies on the big data infrastructure that underlies search and recommendation systems. Most recently, I was at Pinterest as well, working with Lance, and I owned infrastructure engineering, supporting 450 million users and 100 billion pins, providing search, recommendations, personalization. And with that, I'll pass it over to Nick.
Everyone, I'm Nick Goodman. I'm head of customer and developer love, so customer success, developer relations. I've been with Vantage almost since the very beginning. Before that, I was with Snowflake, leading their certification and online education for developer education over at Snowflake. Been in the data cloud analytics industry for about 25 years, and I'm excited to share all the good work we've been doing here today. So, Fred, over to you.
Hey everyone, I'm Fred Bliss. I think I've been at Vantage now for 8 weeks, running applied AI and innovation prior to Vantage, I co-founded and ran a mid-size enterprise data and analytics consulting firm called Aptiv out of Chicago. Uh, Exited at the end of 2021, and a couple months after that is when I got into LLM. So it's been a little over 2 years, and super exciting space to be in here.
Excellent. Thanks, Fred. So we're all super passionate about helping customers build these, authentic and delightful search experiences. And with that, let's go ahead and look at what we've heard about those particular challenges or what people are trying to do. So over the past few years, we've heard similar challenges from those trying to build these, best-in-class discovery experiences for their websites and their retail stores. So some of these common challenges that keep people from building the experiences they want and that their customers expect, right? So expectations are changing for consumers on websites. So we've heard in the industry the phrase "future is conversational." There's a shift in perception and expectation on how companies are going to engage on websites with, the Gen AI and Chat GPT, right? So there's a new expectation. So starting from the top, without immense amounts of data, we hear from customers that search is still tough to personalize. Consumers want you to respond to their implicit and explicit desires to be understood, to know what they're after. And so that remains a challenge. Powerful tools, technologies, like the ones that we're talking about that can actually make these great experiences sort of feel like they're kind of locked up in an ivory tower of MTEB benchmark percentages, parameter numbers and tuning, and a mishmash of other acronyms that even to sort of seasoned technologists can maybe feel a little bit daunting. So these tools are powerful, but they sort of feel like they require specialized skills and teams. So that's one challenge. The other thing we hear like really regularly, almost top of the list, is that you need the existing capabilities too. It's not enough to be able to provide just a chatbot or sort of some of the new AI stuff. You actually also need to have the existing stuff. So it's kind of a how do you sort of evolve with it instead of completely throwing out the old stuff. Also, product owners and UX designers now have these new experiences with ChatGPT, LLMs. There's this emerging, sort of challenge that, when you look at these technologies, it's not just enough by itself to build this sort of quick and responsive and consumer search experience that people come to expect. Lastly, the other challenge we hear regularly is, hey, we had an initial prototype, shows promise, but after moving, to an initial, sort of stage, getting this into production is kind of hard, like tough, really tough. So, unfortunately, maybe some of these kind of feel or sound familiar to people on the call. Hopefully, maybe that's why you joined today to hear about some of these and how we can sort of address these head on. We're going to come back to these particular challenges for the next 25 minutes or so. Nigel and Lance started, Vantage Discovery based on their experience solving these challenges in other environments to address these sort of challenges head on. Okay, so let's see. Vantage is sort of at the forefront of AI for e-commerce. So we're bringing that knowledge and understanding of sort of your catalog and customers into a particular solution that sort of was previously unheard of, right? This allows you as a retailer to provide authentic experiences such as, similar to offline, right? Or in-store experiences, such as a customer walking in for one item and then emerging with 3 or 4. Conversations about styles that were typically exclusive to that sort of in-store, salesperson experience. So AI commerce, what we're building and expanding with our Discovery as a Service uses AI to fully realize this sort of long-standing vision of a sort of truly transformative shopping experience online. Okay, so real quickly, what do we mean when we say sort of Discovery as a Service? And then we'll get back to those challenges and how what we're doing sort of addresses those sort of head on. So we've developed here at Vantage the world's best Discovery as a Service. So if you kind of maybe unpack that just a tiny bit, we built all of these emerging and powerful AI capabilities. We simplified them behind sort of developer-friendly APIs. And we did this sort of all in a managed cloud platform, so you don't have the hassle of, Python packages and systems to manage. So a complete solution letting you sort of focus on the power and experience, and letting Vantage take on that sort of hard part on the infrastructure side. So you build the discovery experiences, we'll take care of the platform. Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 of the challenges, and then Nigel's going to run us through a demo. So building personalized sort of results, especially in an area where a smaller retailer with more limited data, remains a challenge. So sometimes this data comes in sort of in terms of implicit personalization, where a customer wants you to learn their styles and preferences to sort of provide them with, fantastic results, right? Tailored just for them. So our shopper here, has has gone through and purchased a variety of things from us, and you can see there's a stylistic preference for, in this case, very simplistic red, right? Vantage Discovery is able to sort of use these commonality with items that they've purchased before to sort of create a little fingerprint of that user's style, sort of crossing these genres and categories using this sort of the power of these AI embeddings. So when the shopper engages your brand to look for something new, such as sneakers, Vantage can blend and use these subtle preferences in the results to kind of get an item that looks just, great results just for that one particular shopper, right? So it's like the personal shopper in a local boutique who knows just what to suggest because they kind of know what you like. We're using the power of AI to do that. Sometimes the personalization can be a bit more explicit. So often your customers will have boards, say on Pinterest, or outfits they've liked on Instagram that are sort of describing in a really rich visual color and style that is sort of what they're after. So Vantage Vibe allows you to blend examples and images your customers provide to you that, they're trying to tell you what they're after. So the results they both sort of like, say for shoes, are going to match the actual item that they're after, shoes, but also to have the stylistic characteristics of, what they're looking for, such as beiges and blacks and upscale notes, sort of influenced by the images they've given you. So again, this is like matching that in-store experience of bringing in sort of, fashion magazine clippings, or even what you're wearing into the store to be able to figure out kind of stylistically what might, what you're looking for. So Vantage Vibe and Smart Shopper sort of provides this kind of like breakthrough new personalization that lets you sort of, personalize these results, right? Hard to personalize. These 2 pieces, even just by themselves, allow you to sort of create an authentic, you get me and kind of what I'm after sort of a experience. Okay. AI, powerful, sort of locked in that ivory tower, lots of tools and technologies. So one of the things that's been really important to Vantage is to make these technologies accessible. So for more like this and items like, say, more like these, right, where you can pick several items and blend them together into a sort of combined query, you can provide customers sort of an excellent browsing experience with far less typing and more sort of maybe swiping or, hearting or thumbs upping to be able to refine and find things that they really like or don't like as part of it. Cross-sell, upsell with AI, you can identify complementary products. You can sell the accessory to the outfit without entire teams of, merchandiser having to handpick every single complement, right? We can use AI to find those types of complements. So multimodal in this sort of, the conversational approaches. So more of an AI specific one. So it's not uncommon when, while you're out and about, you liked somebody's bag, or you liked a piece of furniture that you saw in a gallery, to snap a photo. You now as a retailer can accept a photo of really anything. And we can use that either just by itself or in combination with some other text to try and help you find what that user is looking for, right? So you liked a bag when you saw it out, you took a picture, now you can help somebody find something that's similar. Lastly is, we have this sort of conversational approach and, the ability to again, expectations are sort of shifting, right? Conversational ways to be able to say, ask a salesperson a question in a store. You can now do a similar experience online, right? Where you can ask questions about the products that you're seeing or the styles or other things that you can, provide that sort of delightful experience to your customers. All right, last thing, and then maybe Nigel, maybe you're getting ready to show us a demo here in just a couple minutes. Show us all this in action. So our existing, our existing users, we're sort of expert level in the search box and filtering capabilities today. You're not always looking for the full semantic experience. Sometimes you're actually just looking to narrow and find something that you're actually looking for based on, where we're at today. I'm looking for a handbag. I'm looking for boots, right? And I know what colors I'm looking for. So again, we're trying to basically just create the same capabilities that you have now in the existing search box, so you can provide both. The other one is, again, you mentioned colors, sizes. Sometimes you're not looking for expansive ideas. You're looking for just more perfunctory, or just exactly what you're already looking for. So Vantage is going to provides a unification of both sort of existing search capabilities and the new stuff. So Nigel, with that, I think he's going to take us through some of these experiences in the context of an invented retailer powered by Vantage selling fashion items. So Nigel, if you can, take us into the world of this end user for our digital retailer, Fab Fashion for You.
Great. Thank you, Nick. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. So yeah, like Nick said, we've got this sort of fake demo store, and you can go to demo.vantagediscovery.com and play with this demo yourself, where we showcase a few of our features. And we're an API, and so there's many ways to bring our various features, powerful discovery features to life. This is just one imagination of bringing to life things like Vantage Vibe. So I'm gonna just do a quick search here for maxi dress. I've got all kinds of dresses that are coming back, right? Some of these may match my style, some won't. But now I want to tell the system, tell the retailer, hey, here's my style. Here's the kinds of things I like. And so I'm going to go into a lookbook that this retailer has created. They've got some different designers. Each designer has some different looks. And I'm going to pick the one that's closest to me. So I'm going to say I'm looking for this maxi dress for my wife, so I know she likes floral dresses. So our platform is getting a set of images to define this floral style that's going to be applied to my search. And where these images come from, it doesn't really matter to the platform. They could come from a lookbook like this, but they could also come from a user uploaded photo or a connection to Pinterest or Instagram. The retailer has lots of options in how they collect a user's style. So I'm going to apply that feminine floral style now to my maxi dress query. And now these are the maxi dresses that come back. You can see that they all very much fit that floral style. Let me just try one more. Let's say I like athletic wear, right? So I'm going to take this athleisure style. Our platform's going to get these 4 images to define that style or vibe, and I'm going to apply that now to maxi dress. And now these are the maxi dresses that come back, right? Much more kind of fitting that athleisure style, right? Tight fitting and comfortable and stretchy fabrics. So that's just one example of where we can take images that define a style and apply them to a search for a product to quickly, explicitly personalize someone's experience. And then the other thing I'll show you that Nick hit on there was something called more like these. And so I don't know, I'll just come up with a semantic query like show off my muscles. Right, and I'm going to just say put on a facet here, filter search for men, and oops, I still got the athleisure style on. Let me turn off that. Okay, so I get back like tight fitting clothes, I get back tank tops. And now what I want to do is say, I don't really like sleeves. So I don't really want them like this. So I'm going to thumbs down that. I want less like that. And I kind of like this one. I want more like this, and I want more like this, right? And so now I'm going to say, hey, go and discover more like these, more like the ones that I thumbs up and less like the ones that I thumbs down. And now we get back all muscle shirts that are tank tops, and in sort of the same colors and hues that I thumbs up. So this is a great way to bring a consumer down the funnel, right? Start with their style, quickly like hone in on something, and then let them continue to tweak by thumbs upping and thumbs downing, get them to conversion as quickly as possible. And that's what we see is massive lift in conversions. So that was just a couple of the features that I wanted to show you. So back over to you, Nick.
Great. All right. Cool. Thank you, Nigel. Let's see here. Back to, all right. Sharing. Okay. No, thanks for that. And I think like you said, we'll maybe put the link in the chat or drop it after the call to demo.vantagediscovery.com. You can play with the features that Nigel was just showing you. So returning back to our challenges. So Gen AI and these sort of general GPT type solutions kind of are providing this sort of immensely sort of powerful, and they can do amazing things, right? But they sort of aren't enough by themselves to sort of power these consumer grade experiences. So, Gen AI can impressively over a few seconds maybe generate several paragraphs of text describing products and why they might be good for this particular user. However, you're going to miss the user expectations if they're waiting for a good result to come back and it takes several seconds, to do so. So Vantage Search in combination with these AI embeddings, which is, these AI embeddings are sort of a core ingredient in the Gen AI systems, provide really blazing fast results that are commensurate with sort of what the expectations are of a consumer sort of search experience, right? So again, we're trying to get happy users, in a quick with an experience that sort of matches what they would expect. Fred, you've been looking at a lot of these LLM and embedding systems over the past couple of years. Would you like to expand a bit on sort of what these embeddings are and why they sort of fit really well for this type of experience as part of Vantage?
Yeah. So I mean, I think the best analogy I've heard for embeddings is taking two different people's analogies. One is it's kind of like taking an MRI scan of something, right? It could be text, like a product description, could be your brand name, or even better, like what your brand means. It could be visual elements, could also be an image, it could be a video, it could be an image, it could be audio, it could really be anything. And it's turning it into kind of this vector representation that gets projected onto, you can kind of think of it as like this like kind of a coordinate system, right? And so when you're searching for something like Nigel was, and you're searching for maxi dress, it's going to take you into a certain area, right? And then as you start to kind of zero in a little bit, it gets you closer and closer. Now, for anyone who's been building RAG applications or working with frameworks or working with vector databases, or any of these embeddings-based searches, you'll know that they fall short, right? And so it's actually what led me toward Vantage was realizing that at the end of all this, you always have to build a search engine. That's where you end up. It's always got to be a search engine. So the fact that that Vantage was built from the ground up as a really good retrieval search engine, but also AI native from the ground up, it's a huge compelling difference compared to kind of bolting on AI on top, right? Because we use LLMs a lot differently, as opposed to kind of making it front and center, like Nick was saying, where you type something in, you wait, and then I don't know what you get back is kind of hit or miss, right? So we use it in a little more opinionated, creative ways.
Absolutely. Thank you, Fred. And actually, I think that Lance is going to expand a little bit about what you just mentioned there in terms of architecture and sort of why Vantage took an opinionated approach to this particular problem here in a couple of slides. So thanks, Fred, and we'll get more into that here in a couple of slides. Okay, so getting from prototype to production in these systems is hard. So we have a quote here from one of sort of the thought leaders, investors in the space right now, Sarah Guo, who basically is indicating that it's actually pretty easy to build sort of that first prototype, right? With what you've been building in in an LLM, right? So it's easy to build something kind of cool, yeah. And then, but when you sort of get past that initial prototype phase where you've sort of shown some capabilities here, if you get past that, and you're trying to get to things like, you know, the P95 latencies, infrastructure with fast moving packages and tools, right? This whole area is going super, super fast. And also just how to keep things, you know, sort of, I don't say on rails, but, you know, I think Fred alluded to on the previous slide, sort of this idea of you know, sometimes they can go off. So how do you keep these AI systems sort of, you know, sort of in the bumpers of the Bolding lane, right? To be able to make sure you're providing consistent good results. So a lot of that is really hard. So you know, Vantage has taken the actual approach to say, hey, we're going to put all these this AI power behind these APIs, and we're going to give you you know, a platform that can do not just the 80% sort of starting stuff with just, you know, say like just do some embeddings and throw them up into a vector database, embeddings in and embeddings out, but really the whole capability from start to finish for these experiences. So the full 80%, you know, initial stuff plus the 20% that's really, really hard. Okay, so with that, let's see here. This is a fun section where Lance gets to tell you about his experiences having built this in some of the largest embedding, you know, what was it, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of data points in these systems, and he can tell you about sort of the approaches that Vantage has taken and why we think you should not compromise and choose a system like Vantage. So, Lance, over to you.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Nick. And yeah, thanks, Fred, for also the setup on this. And you know, as they were both saying, that this no compromise view of what it takes to have a full customer experience around understanding what they're looking for, everything that Nige just demoed. What we've found from building this at scale is that you have to build a system that can do everything that a search engine can do, right? Which is what you know, what traditional being able to do keyword lookup, find find exact matches, and then on the flip side, be able to do everything a vector DB can do, which is this semantic understanding that's very rich together. And what we found is either most every other system out there is either chosen one where they bolt on the filtering on top after you've done the semantic, or they do the opposite where they'll pull a bunch of candidates back and then try to do semantic afterwards. So we learned this early on at Pinterest, and then redeveloped it again here with newer technologies. But this idea of you can do it all together and not compromise. So we've built a kernel to our engine that can do everything from embedding similarity to understanding keywords to being able to do very rich faceted search Boolean, and then lastly be able to use multiple embeddings, not just a single pass embedding, but multiple embeddings where you can have retrieval, ranking, keyword understanding inside of embeddings, and use all those together, and then do this at scale. And the reason that we do all this together is so that we can have very, very scalable speed. So either it's very large collections or very complex type queries that can be done efficiently. We can be very precise about if you need to look up a part number, good luck doing that in a vector DB. But hey, if you can understand that this is a part number I need to look up, we can do that exactly. Or we can take the relevance view of this and say like, hey, what is the relevance of this given the whole context of the user, right? So next slide. So just to put that bluntly, this idea of the slider bar, like, hey, we can go from full semantic all the way to full keyword, this exact match, this very TF-IDF filtering, faceting, or we could be very context aware and we can disambiguate what you're looking at and do query expanses of meaning and anything in between, right? So that's what our APIs allow, is this anything in between without a compromise, and be able to understand when you need to do this and then do it at scale and very efficiently, right? So these are just just to beat a dead horse a little bit, what vector DBs are doing, right? So most are using FICE, HNSW, something similar to that, where at index time you've predetermined pretty much your proximity graphs, how you're partitioning your data. There isn't a way to dynamically change either the trade-off of performance and speed, much less even all of the the dynamic understanding of like what keywords matter or anything like that. Where at Vantage, this is a per query. You don't even do this at index time. Not only do we give you this full flexibility, you can, on a per query basis, decide how much do you want to weight. Do I want to score everything semantically and have 100% recall? Do I want to blend in keywords to this and then boost those up? Right. All this is available in our system with massive flexibility. And the next slide. And then this is kind of the view of what we were talking about before. Like if you have a vector database and it's like, well, hey, I can do full semantic retrieval and I'll just filter it later. The problem with that, if you're doing it separately, is you're taking all of what you found semantically similar, bringing it out of the system, usually hitting some forward index where you're saying, okay, now I need to figure out what are all the values here I want to filter out, look those all up, and then check and see, hey, does this fit the filtering that was being requested? And a lot of times you might filter everything out, like, nope, none of those sizes or prices match the red shoes I need. Go back to the well, right? So you're doing these trips back, and or you're having to retrieve a massive amount of stuff, which where you lose a lot of your relevancy on that. So that is what we feel that our unified no compromise approach will allow you to be able to understand exactly what you're looking for with their relevance together, and be able to tune all that together. So together, this, and again, this is just kind of scraping the surface of what we can do, but I think this is the kernel of what makes us so different from others, and it comes from a lot of experience in building this at massive scale for systems that had to be no compromise. So I'll hand it back to you, Nick.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for that. And actually, if anyone has any questions now, I think we're about to sort of move into our wrap up and Q&A. So we'll if anyone has any questions for Lance on any of that, we'll get there shortly. So we're obviously, we went through a ton of information today. We're gonna basically kind of summarize it all in one go, and then we're gonna open it up for some questions. And I think Fred or Kevin, I think one of you, Fred, you've been collecting questions, so maybe you can start to ask some of those and pose those to whoever on the panel wants to take them. Wow, I just looked over at the queue. There's tons of them. Excellent. So we'll maybe not get up to all of them today, but maybe we can try and grab at least a few of them live, and then if any of them we can't get to live, we'll go ahead and follow up and email you the responses if we can't get to them live here on the webinar. So again, summarizing, challenges, started Vantage to hit those challenges head on for this new experience. We have a bunch of capabilities, personalized discovery. We talk about the smart shopper and Vibe and keyword search, the old stuff, the classic, how about this? The classic, search capabilities coming into the new world with semantic, multimodal, that kind of stuff. Powering recommendations, really that understanding of the user and their personalized style, all of which is available. Like I said, we started the call with our general availability, available today for you to start using these great capabilities to power sort of your next version of experiences on your retail sites. And with that, let's go to the Q&A, and maybe panel, we can all come off of mute for this so that we're not having to popcorn around and stuff. And then Fred, why don't you pick a few of the questions that came up?
Yep, I'll just go in order. First one is, does this only work on e-commerce?
Let's see here. Who wants to take that? Nigel, Lance?
I'll take it. Sure. Yeah, no, this is, we do focus on e-commerce. Obviously, you can tell from our website and who we're trying to address. We actually have several other customers that are not e-commerce, that are in publishing. For instance, there's a recipe search site called Cook Lists that is using us to power all of their searches. So it absolutely works with any content out there. We're focusing a lot of our fine tuning and language model and some of our features on e-commerce. But if you have other use cases, please try it out for those.
Thank you. And then related to that, what business impact should a retailer expect to realize with Vantage?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're still like writing up some use cases and studies around that. So we'll have more to share, but we definitely see increases in average order value, or AOV, as people can kind of compare different things, can create complete outfits or plan events and buy things across different categories. And so that increases kind of the types of things they're putting in their basket. And then average order value, conversions. We see a significant lift in conversions. And then we also see a reduction in SEO spend, right? As folks come in maybe from Google or other places now into a retailer, they're finding that the Vantage technology can provide a much better experience, faster search, better understanding of their product catalog, and so they will stay there, find the item they're really looking for, and not keep bouncing back up to Google and reformulating the query. So those are some of the things we'll be sharing more broadly.
Great, thanks, Nigel. And another one, what makes you different from other AI search companies?
Lance, do you want to take that one?
Sure, yeah, and that's kind of like the areas that I had focused on a bit. So the key difference for us is everything down to our viewpoint that there is no compromise between a vector database and a search engine, and that we can do both well, and then be able to blend them across. And what that means is that there is an ability to understand when someone is looking for something specific versus they're higher up in a funnel and are exploring around, want to bring in a visual vibe to it, want to not be able to exactly describe it. And that whole funnel is really a shopper's journey, right? And so you can't say, well, I'm going to have one engine for the top of the funnel and a different engine for the bottom of the funnel, unless you're a multi-billion-dollar retailer that wants to build all that. Fine, but we feel like most people can use one system to do all of this, even down to the point where we feel this idea of having multiple embeddings, allowing you to, as you get further down the funnel and understand the conversions that are happening in your site, building those models and incorporating those models into the same system versus having a separate system to then re-rank if they're further down in the funnel. So that viewpoint of having one system that can scale and be efficient for all of this makes us very unique in the industry.
And then a follow-up to that one, what's the implementation look like typically, and what applications work with Vantage?
Well, maybe I can take that, working on the customer success, and then with our SDKs and developer relations stuff. So implementation is actually much more simple than a lot of other systems, because we actually handle a lot of the plumbing for you, right? So typically implementation looks like you've got a catalog. You put it into a format that we can read, JSON-L, Parquet, whatever it might be, with whatever you want to be faceted or searched, and then the text that you want to have embedded in images, right? So really, it's more of it's just a classic sort of data engineering, way to be able to provide Vantage the data, but that it's all just an API, right? So you can, create a spot to put your data into to the API, and then the search is available for you, right? So we manage the tokenization, the embeddings, all of that stuff, so that it really is just little configuration, put your data in, and then you can start searching semantically with keywords and all of the stuff that we'd mentioned today, sort of on the outside. I think we have a 1, 2, 3. It's like, 1, sign up; 2, load your data; 3, search, right? So it obviously there's a little bit of, any data work takes some work, but it should be pretty straightforward. We have SDKs for Python today we're actually working on Java Node Next, and we also have 2 or 3 integrations with various commerce partners that we're working on as we speak. So to get your search involved in, whatever digital experience platform you may be using. So
Cool.
And then
Thanks.
two different ways to upload data, right, Nick? One is just a bulk upload of the file in a certain format we need it in, and the second is an API. So should be super convenient.
Yep,
And there's a
absolutely.
good related question to that. How does image search and embeddings work? Does text only work, or how do you work with other multimodal data?
Actually, Fred, you're probably the most experienced with that.
I know.
You asked the question, but I think actually you should probably answer it. What
I
do you?
know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good question, right? Like, ideally, in a perfect world, the one we were sold, 2 years ago, you just take everything, right? Like, take your data, select star from your ERP, and shove it in, right? And magic. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So, what we have to do instead is, and where implementation kind of gets fun, a little bit creative, is things like describe, like your brand, right? Like the ability to describe what your brand means actually powers the search results much better than just putting a brand name, right? Because the LLMs have a certain knowledge of what these things mean, but that might not mean the same thing as what it means to you. Or, we found that for some customers, things like sales training videos, or even like old webinar videos they did on YouTube, like describing and pitching their products, were a great source of data that augmented everything. And so the implementation is really it's kind of this fine line between, I guess, data engineering and AI, and like a whole lot of creativity. It's a total blast. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. But really, it's limitless in how you want to use this stuff, as well as like putting in images and be able to take those images and not just turn it into text, but then be able to do similarity matching on it.
Yeah, I'll echo that. If you and if anyone on this call hasn't worked on some of these cool multimodal stuff, if you come from just a straight data background, go give it a try. It's actually, I think I'll plus one to what Fred said. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a pretty creative aspect to the new world. So
Yeah, you actually learn a lot about language and how the world, how the internet sees everything, right? And then you get to steer it a little bit. Um, let's see. Can I use a Vantage platform for RAG?
Nigel, I think you or Lance hit on that a little earlier. You guys want to finish that one up, or?
Well, I'll just jump in there and then let Lance say more. But RAG is retrieval augmented generation. It's kind of a new technique to take a corpus of documents or products or whatever, and be able to ask questions about it and get back a single answer. And in doing so, the R stands for retrieval. So that's a search function, and the super important part of RAG is the retrieval part. And absolutely, I would say that's where we excel. And can bring back like amazingly relevant documents using both the semantic and the structured, filters and keywords, as Lance was talking about earlier. So the short answer is absolutely yes. Lance, I don't know if you want to add any more.
No, I think that's right. Again, going back to this no compromise view, where certain questions might be broad, and certain questions might be, I want a fact back, right? And so being able to understand those and know when to use these facets, know when to use, I want an exact keyword lookup, or I want a fact lookup, versus I want to expand this out to a lot more color in the response, is what you need for that RAG piece, the R in RAG. So absolutely, we see ourselves as being like the ideal engine to do that R.
Yeah, and I'll just chime in because like anyone who's working in AI in enterprise, which is where I come from, RAG is really the first use case. And you pretty quickly find what doesn't work, which is a lot of it, right? And again, the hardest part is not necessarily the vector databases and the embeddings and everything. It's bringing back the right relevant results. Like at the end, again, at the end of the day, you're back to building a search engine for every single one of these.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And then we got two more that are top of funnel. Let's see. How can I sign up to try Vantage?
Well, I'll answer that one. So you can go to our website. There's I think a get started or sign up button in the upper right hand corner. We have a free trial, so you can come and try all of the capabilities you want. And I think everything you just saw Nigel demoing, and we talked about today, the APIs for powering that stuff are all available. And so yeah, and if there's a button on the website to go do it. And yeah.
And I'll also give a plug for docs.vantagediscovery.com, where Nick has written up some great tutorials that kind of can walk you through, once you've signed up, how to get a collection started and walk you through the whole process. It's really, really simple. I think you've boiled it down to 4 or 5 steps in that tutorial. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's very self-service.
Absolutely. And actually, it looks like Fred, I'm looking at these questions, and it looks like a lot of them are more about specific use cases and, pricing and things like that. So maybe we'll go ahead and respond to the rest of those on email. So I think this is actually a great stopping point. First and foremost, thank you for joining us on this journey today. Our first webinar to share some of the work that we've been doing. We really, really do appreciate your time. I think, we have your emails. We'll maybe reach out if you have any additional questions. Feel free to connect with us, and please, go sign up and have some fun with our discovery as a service. Come join the AI commerce revolution. So with that, we'll say thank you and goodbye, and appreciate your guys' time.
Thanks all.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks everyone.